Hi, everyone. Welcome to Legacy Game Changers. For those that don't know me or are new here, my name is Nicole Potter, and I am really glad that you made the choice to be here today. If it's okay with you, I would like to start with a simple question. Have you ever noticed how some people in life just quietly become the one everyone relies on? Not because they signed up for it, not because they asked for the role, but somehow over time, they just became the one who handles things, the one who figures things out, the one people call when something goes wrong, when you need something to get done, the one who steps in when no one else does. Maybe you've noticed that in your family or in your church circle. Maybe that person is you. Maybe you're the one who organizes things, keeps things moving, solves problems, notices what needs to be done before anyone else sees it. You get the job done. And for a long time, it didn't even feel strange. It just felt like who you are. You're the dependable one, the capable one, the steady one, the strong one, the one that shows up. You make it work. And often people admire that about you. But something interesting happens over time. The strong one rarely gets asked how she's really doing. Or people say things like, I don't know how you get it all done. This woman was me too. And to be honest, I still have to intentionally choose not to go back to that way. Back in 2020, I didn't realize how much of my life had been built around being busy. I almost wore it like a badge of honor. I was the strong one, the responsible one, the one everyone could count on, the one who held everything together, the one who seemed to take care of everything. From the outside, it looked like strength, but I was internally exhausted. But honestly, I didn't even realize that I had lost myself in the process. And then, as we all know, the world shut down. And suddenly the busyness stopped. The noise stopped. The distraction stopped. And I, like many others, was left with myself and the quiet. And if I'm honest, one night I completely unraveled on the floor of my living room. And in that moment, that's where God showed up so powerfully. Right there on my living room floor is where God began healing me from a life of constant busyness. In those quiet moments with Him, we began forming a completely different rhythm of life. And that rhythm that started to break off was performance pressure, a rhythm that started exposing false identities and mindsets, life experiences, and learned behaviors that were connected to busy. And it was in that journey with God that I began learning how to receive His gift of rest. And to be honest, I didn't even know it. And I'm going to tell you, it wasn't easy. I resisted Him. I resisted rest because it felt like failure, procrastination. It felt like self-sabotage. The amount of times that I beat myself up for sitting down when there were dishes to be done, a house to be decluttered. Is our list of things ever done that we need to do? But it was in the quiet moments that started with 5 minutes that he started showing me who he truly was and who I truly was underneath it all. He became the anchor of truth, and he taught me to love me, all of me, every version of me up until that moment and up until now, of course. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the ugliest. He taught me how to love myself and to show myself compassion and to listen to what it is that I needed to do. And it was something that I had never done. And it was uncomfortable. But that journey with God is how I got here today. I didn't think I was anything. I most certainly didn't think I had anything to offer or anything to say. Well, let's be real. I'm a talker. There's always something that I can say. But I didn't think there was anything of value that came out of my mouth. But it was his inexhaustible pursuit of me and convincing me over and over again. That's what helped me heal and stop shrinking and to be who he created me to be. And I will be even more real. For those of you, you have been with me through this whole duration. This group used to be called Raw and Real, Broken to be Made Whole. Then it was in the Potter's hands because, God is punny. My last name is Potter. He's the Potter, right? This has been a really long journey. Because you see, all of my life, from the time I was in my mother's womb is where it started. I truly believe that my value was to be the responsible one. I truly believe that my value came from being the one who could handle everything. But honestly, God, he met me in my exhaustion. He met me in the pressure. He met me in those places where I felt ashamed and broken and like I had to keep holding everything together so that I wouldn't break. But it was in the breaking that I became me. And it was in the breaking that he began showing me who he truly was and who I truly was in him. You see, I've told him that I needed to hold it all together. I told him that I trusted him, but I didn't really trust me. And he didn't seem to think what I was saying was true. But we became the way we are because of the life that we had. And we've based our lives on that. But we truly can sit it down and rest and exhale and be held by the Father. You see, that's really the heart behind why I do what I do today. Because I know what it's like to live in constant responsibility mode. Many people call it survival mode. And maybe it is. But it came from a sense of needing to feel responsible and taking care of everything. And I don't plan on being a survivor. God calls us a conqueror. So he and I have shifted it out of survival mode and called it responsibility mode. We are high capacity women who feel responsible for everything. But I also know the freedom that comes when a woman learns to reconnect with herself and with God and remembers who she truly is. Because God is the reference point. And when we can learn to connect to ourselves with God, it doesn't just change your life. It changes your family, changes the legacy of what you and I will leave behind. And I've realized over time that many women are living the same way. I see it more and more everywhere with the women I work with the posts that I see across social media, with the conversations I have in the community. Women are exhausted and they don't feel like they have the right to rest without feeling like a failure. I created a post this week that at the end of it, I mentioned God rested on the seventh day. God rested on the seventh day before he created man. Rest is proactive. Women today carry a lot. We manage a lot and we support a lot of people. And because we've always been able to do it, people assume we're fine. And let's be honest, we pretend we are. People assume that we don't need much and we'll do it all ourselves anyway. But strength comes with a quiet pressure, the pressure of holding everything together, the pressure of being the one everyone relies on. And over time, responsibility can slowly become your identity. You and I may not say it out loud, but internally it can start to sound like, I'm the only one who handles things. I'm the one who keeps everything together. If I don't do it, who will? Or what is the one of, some of us are because we're tired of others not doing things or showing up. So we've learned to do it because why bother asking anyone else to do it? Because they're not going to do it anyway, or it's just going to add more stress because it's only going to become a battle and then you get resentful on top of it. But the truth is, as I said, these things, they just didn't happen randomly. We didn't just wake up one morning and decide, I think I'm going to be the strong one for everyone today. And most of the times we're not showing up for ourselves because we're so exhausted for other people. And it's not because we don't love the people or we wouldn't want to do those things. I've had those conversations in my house. I love to do the things that I'm doing. I honestly do. God has given me a serving heart. I want to love on my family and the people around me. But I'm getting exhausted on the inside and I'm learning how to put myself back on the plate. And it's going to be a little messy in the middle because we've not been used to doing it. We can have these emotional, that's good. Emotional, I call them melt-throughs. I don't call them breakdowns, where we have these outbursts and then you feel bad about them. But it's because there's a shift that's taking place that we don't really know how to navigate. And that's why we need God. Because we learned this behavior somewhere. Whether it was in childhood, whether it developed through relationships, through marriage, sometimes it was developed through the church. Sometimes it can grow during seasons of life where you simply have to be the one that steps in because something has gone on in your life. So you do what many capable women do. You step up. And stepping up can be a beautiful quality. But when responsibility slowly becomes your identity, it quietly becomes very heavy and causes exhaustion that doesn't seem to go away. And the beautiful thing, what God began doing in my life, He wants to do for you too. And what I've realized over time is that God often meets strong women in this exact place. The place where you've been carrying a lot for a very long time. And He doesn't do it by forcing anything. He doesn't do it by stripping anything away from your strength, but by gently showing you that you don't have to carry everything the way that you always have. It has actually been in the seasons of rest that the Lord has showed me things that were never meant to be on my plate. Or I was doing things because they were part of a family tradition or but that it didn't really work for our life now. And it isn't a surprise that when you look through scripture, that you find moments where God does this with people too. I mean, we've all heard of the story of Martha. And I know she gets a bad rap, but if we think about it, Martha was the one managing the home when Jesus came to visit. How many of us are managing our home? She was preparing things. She was serving. She was making sure everything was taken care of. So, in other words, she was doing what many of us responsible women naturally do. She was making sure things were handled. Meanwhile, her sister Mary was sitting with Jesus at his feet. And let's just say Martha eventually comes out to Jesus and says something many of us can relate to in modern life. Lord, don't you care that I'm doing all of this by myself? That moment wasn't really about dinner preparations. It was about the pressure of carrying everything alone. And where Martha truly wanted to be was sitting at Jesus' feet, and she didn't think she could because she had things to do. Didn't want Jesus to look at her badly because ... right? But Jesus' response was very gentle. He didn't criticize her work. He didn't shame her responsibility. He simply said, Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things. And remember, when God has mentions things twice, he's trying to get our attention. In other words, what he was saying to Martha was, you're carrying more than you were meant to carry alone. Another example we can see is Moses. Moses had become the one responsible for everything. Everyone came to him with every problem. Sound familiar? From morning until evening, he was solving disputes, answering questions, managing people. And eventually, someone close to him noticed something. His father-in-law, Jethro, said, what you are doing is not good. You and these people will only wear yourselves out. So in modern language, we might say it this way. You're trying to carry something that was never meant to sit entirely on your shoulders. You're trying to carry the world on your shoulders. Sometimes when we've been the strong one for a long time, we don't even realize how much we're carrying or the fact that we don't need to be. It just feels normal. We've been doing it all along. But God never designed us to live in constant state of holding everything together by ourselves. What was the point of Jesus going to the cross? So what I want to do is, here's a simple reflection that I want to offer you today. I don't want you to analyze it. I'm not asking you to unpack and process everything. We don't need to process everything on a deep dive level. I just want you to notice. And I want you to ask the question. You can ask it to yourself or you can ask God. When did you first become the strong one? Now, as you hear the question, some of you might immediately think of a moment or a season in your life. And some of you might not, and that's okay. That is completely okay. Some of us were born into it. Like I said, I had this from my mother's womb. It was generational. But the seed was planted at the time for my personal story in my mother's womb. So for some, like mine, it was in your family. Again, for others, it could have been relationships. For others, it was learned in church. Or it, as I said earlier, it could have been a season where you had to step up because someone had to. Many of us learned this role very early, and over time it simply became part of who you believed that you were, or you needed to be, or how you earned love. There's so many reasons for why. So the why is just to be aware. This isn't about trying to analyze your life, blame anyone, or even figure everything out today. Sometimes awareness simply begins with noticing, starting to notice the patterns, notice the roles that you've stepped into. The other thing is that keeps popping up as I was saying this message is how many of us, the moment that somebody asks something, jump in to do it. And this was something that the Lord had to work on in me because he started to speak to me and look at me about motives of why I was doing things, why I was going to every church service, why I was jumping in to be the first one to help, why all these things. Part of it was people pleasing. Part of it was because if I did these things, then, I would earn people's approval. Or part of it was because if I didn't do it, I was afraid the person was going to reject or abandon me. There's so many reasons why. Notice why you're doing the things that you're doing. Start asking yourself, is this something that I really want to do? Is this something that God has asked me to do? But I want you to notice how long that you've been carrying certain things. Awareness with God is never meant to bring shame or condemnation or guilt. It is always meant to bring love and healing. Because when God begins showing us where certain patterns started, it's because he's inviting us into something different, something lighter, something healthier. And sometimes the first step in that shift isn't solving anything, which I know is hard for fixers. Sometimes it's simply just allowing yourself to slow down long enough to notice what you've been carrying. And here's something important. Strength is a gift. Rest is a gift. Carrying everything alone is not. Pushing self through is also not a gift. Being able to lay things down is something that I want to make space for you to do right now. Just briefly. Before we finish today, I want to take just a few minutes to slow down together. I want to take 2 minutes. If you're comfortable where you are, I just want you to take a slow breath in. And then I want you to let it go slowly. I want you to take another deep breath in, or as deep as you can. And let it go. And if you notice, you may yawn. You may have tears release. These are just forms of release, of tension, of stress, of things that your body is holding on to. But I want you to just take a moment to notice your body. Notice your jaw. Where is your tongue? Does your jaw feel tight Is your tongue at the roof of your mouth? If they are, just gently let your jaw move around. Just stretch it out. And if your tongue is at the roof of your mouth, just let it drop to the bottom where it's supposed to gently rest. Next, how about your shoulders? Do they feel tight? Are they slightly raised? I just want you to take a moment and let them lower. Maybe take a moment and stretch your neck from either side to side, front to back, or roll it all the way around. Whatever feels comfortable for you. Whatever feels natural. Sometimes when we live in a responsibility mode, for a long time, our bodies stay slightly braced, as if we're always ready to handle the next thing. And this causes our nervous system to stay in fight or flight, fawn or freeze mode. It's in high alert mode. And as you do these things, as I said, you could yawn, you may sigh, tears may come. If you have any other emotions or feel tense, you can always clench your hands and fists. You can shake it out a little bit and release the tension. That's just a couple ways. But I want you to take another deep breath in. And as you do, I want you to imagine God with his hands out to you. And as you exhale, I want you to imagine handing him all the tension that is in your body, the stress. You can scoop it out. You can visualize it in your mind. You can do it however you want to do it. But I want you to give them to the Lord. Or at least, if you're not ready to hand it to him, at least allow him to hold it with you. And again, you don't need to solve anything right now. You don't even need to hold everything together in this moment. I just want you to allow your body to soften for a second. One more slow breath. And release. And before we move on, just notice for a moment how your body feels right now. My hope is that maybe you feel a little softer, a little lighter, or maybe you just simply notice how much you've been holding. Whatever you've experienced in that moment is completely okay. Maybe you didn't even feel comfortable doing this, and that's okay too. But when we pause like this, it's the first time in a long time that we've allowed ourselves to set something down. Some of us weren't even aware that we could hand these things off to the Lord. We've heard it in scripture, but we've never really been shown how we could actively do it. These are just things that the Lord has showed me over the last 5 years, where we have brought healing, not only to my mind and to my heart, but to my physical body. Our bodies hold on to everything that we don't release. And we wonder why we have the aches and the groans and the stiffness and the autoimmune and the arthritis or the fibromyalgia or the inflammation or whatever's going on. But our bodies have been holding on to everything that we have not released in our lives. And this is where God wants to begin meeting us. Not when we have it all figured out. Not when we don't know what to do. But when we finally slow down long enough to let him in, to partner with him, to carry what Jesus died to carry. We are so busy looking outward, we don't have time to look inwards. Not in shame or blame, but with compassion and love and patience. You've been strong long enough. So let's bring this moment before the Lord together in prayer before we end. Father, thank you for every woman listening right now and in the replay. You see the ones who have carried responsibility for a long time, the ones who've stepped in to help others, the ones who have taken themselves out of their own lives, who hold their families together, who keep things moving when life feels heavy. Lord, thank you for the strength that you placed inside each and every single one of them. But I also ask that you begin to gently show them that they were never meant to carry everything alone. Help them recognize where they can bring their burdens to you. Help them experience the rest and peace that you offer, and that rest is not failure. And remind them that their value is not found in how much that they can hold together and how much they could do, but in who they are as your daughters. We place all of this in your hands. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. So if this felt close to home for you today, this is exactly why the Lord had me create the rest encounters. It's why they exist. It's simply a place where women who have carried a lot for a long time can slow down, breathe, and begin practicing laying some of the weight down with God. There's no performance. There's no teaching. There's nothing that you can do. There's no cameras. There's no microphone. I just hold this space together for women to come together to lay it down. And we go deeper into these kinds of moments like I took you through for 2 minutes. They're hosted bi-weekly on Thursday nights. You can DM me or you can comment rest and I will get you the link. And if I can figure out how to do it, I will pin it in the comments. But for today, I'm just really glad that you were here and took a moment for you. And for now, I'm going to leave you in his most capable and loving hands until I see you again next Friday.